Uncle Ron stuff. Today is a Muse, and it's going to be called the Event Horizon of My Mind. And, okay, so the concept of event horizon. If you're in physics, you look out into space and you see we have prophesized and then actually discovered black holes, and that's where the idea about matter after the universe was formed, matter began to be impacted by gravity and got pulled in and pulled in. And the gravity, the bigger the thing, the more the gravity, until finally it collapses into a sun and starts the idea of fusion, taking hydrogen and joining it with others under intense pressure and heat and energy to form other elements. That's collapsing into a sun. But in other cases, there have been collapsing where the matter was so condensed that even what's considered the most massless particle, if you will, if you call it a particle, light, cannot escape. Most all particles have some mass, and therefore they would be impacted by gravity. But this is an unusual case. Here's where gravity was so severe and strong that it collapsed material into some sort of, I think they call it a singularity, where it's so intense that not even light can escape it. But there was a thing called event horizon around a black hole where uh, remnants of matter from something being pulled apart or just drifting into the gravitational field of the black hole appears to rotate around the opening, if you want to call it that, or the throat of the black hole. And this particular area is visible to some of our telescopes. So although we can't see the black hole, we can see this event horizon around the black hole. And this is matter, still matter, on its way into the blackness of the black hole. And so that's the concept behind it all. Now I'm going to switch over and talk about event horizon on my mind. Okay, so um, for whatever reason, the universe is so massive. Massive is not the right word, expansive. And if you think about it in way of distances, I mean, some matter, some universe, some galaxies, some suns, planets, all that stuff are 17 billion light years away. And that's how long it takes light to travel from that object to us, 17 billion light years. And nothing travels faster than the speed of light. So I'm with the concept that there's, in all directions, there's, I mean, hundreds of millions, maybe even trillions of galaxies in the universe, the visible universe we can see, that, and some portion of that, 1%, whatever, would have stars similar to ours, and maybe even planetary systems similar to ours, and that on those systems there would be some 1%. You take 1% of the all the stuff that's out there and say, okay, that could support life in some fashion as we know it, as a big number. There's got to be alien people, i.e., that weren't born on this planet, somewhere else, that may have achieved some sort of consciousness, whatever that is. Okay. And so the question is, well, where are they? How come we don't see any evidence of them? And there's various that says, well, maybe they are way more advanced than we are and decided to leave us alone. Or perhaps, yes, great civilizations have come out in various parts of the galaxy, But eventually something led to their demise. Perhaps it was a self-imposed extermination, or something maybe they got their whole planetary system got pulled into a black hole or something else. But nonetheless, even if you had a very small percentage are out there and thriving and doing great, um, we have the same problem they do, in that if light travels at a certain speed, electromagnetic radiation, i.e., television signals, radio signals, all that stuff travels at the speed of light too. So if we started broadcasting television or radio 100 and say 25, 150 years ago, which I think is a little bit beyond what we really did, it's only gone out 150 light years in distance. It's like 4,000 light years or 4 light years. I don't know. Say it's 4 light years to the nearest star. We've only gone 150 light years out. I think it's, yeah, 150. Our signals were gone on 150 light years, which really hadn't. I think it's 4,000 light years from the nearest star. But nonetheless, we haven't seen anything out that anybody could get now. And the same way with aliens, some other planet, if they're trying to use electromagnetic spectrum to send a broadcast signal to us, we may eventually get a signal, but from an alien who no longer is there, because it's taken a billion years for a signal to get to us. In a billion years, a lot can happen with another alien species, just like it can happen with us. So the whole point being is that using electromagnetic signaling, or using a tin can, a rocket, a spaceship with warp drive to go from here to there to actually meet an intelligent species somewhere else in the universe, is slim to none. It's not going to happen that way. Okay, so how can it possibly happen? Uncle Ron says there's been a phenomenon in physics for a while that we don't quite understand yet, which seems to go against everything we do know, and that is quantum entanglement, where you have, I'm going to call it a particle, but something at once, a pair. I don't know if there's some sort of concept of quantum entangled beyond pairs yet. Probably true, but anyway, I'm thinking of two objects, two particles, and somehow they get quantumly entangled, meaning whatever happens to one happens to the other instantly, ignoring the laws of Einstein's law of energy equals mass times the speed of light constant squared, says that nothing travels faster than light, and you cannot ever travel as fast as the speed of light, because the faster you go, the more mass you get, massive you become, and more energy required to push that massive to more, which only accumulates more mass. So it's an infinite no. You can't do it that way. So warp drives, maybe, and in the movie Dune, there were these people who had been taking space long enough that their mind had been able to fold space with their mind. And that's sort of like I don't know if I can move without tripping it, but yeah, it's such a phase. If you've ever seen a Mobius ring, where it's like folded back on itself like this, there's a ring. And if I'm on one side, right here, and I want to go to the inside, I have to go all the way around and to get to there. But if I could go straight through, I could be there instantly, and that's like folding space. And that's what these guys in the Dune science fiction, they were able to fold space so that you could, like popping into a black hole and popping out somewhere else with little or no time change, no time dilation, time, anything. Okay, so I'm back on the mind and communication with aliens. It's not going to happen via electromagnetic. It's not going to happen by ship landing here. There have been movies about that, and one of the most best ones I liked was, even if they did land here, they have the whole issue of how do you establish communication with a species that has a completely different environmental evolutionary history. And they might have totally different sensors than we do. We have sight, sound, smell, whatever. They have completely different sensors. They have a completely different mind. They don't think about things the same way we do. We create constructs of objects and we have named them and we have memories of them and we can communicate using word chunks that represent those concepts like a dog or a cat or anything else. But when it comes to an alien, you don't have any basis for communications. And there was another movie about that where aliens did show up. They were benign, they weren't hostile intent, and they wanted to communicate, but they entirely different. So the scientists here did sort of figure it out using artificial intelligence, and they did finally eventually understand, but it was a struggle because ours is based on discretes. Yeah, certainly imagination can imagine things which do not exist, and uh, it's really hard to even imagine. Maybe you can imagine scenarios, events happening, but those are going to be created out of objects and verbs that you already have in your tool set for communications. So here you face an alien intelligence, and how do you shake hands with them? It's as simple as that. How do you shake hands and say you smile? Maybe a smile. Maybe all aliens smile. In some form, shape, or fashion. There is some universal thumbs up thing. I don't know, something that would make sense. Let's start at the basic level. Anyway, okay, now we're going to get into it. Okay, so lately, for a long time, I was aware of the Buddhists would practice this thing, calming their minds and shutting off the sensory input, close their eyes and ignore sounds and ignore their body sensations of sitting and all that, quiet their mind down, get all those distractions out of it, and then try to focus and concentrate their mind on holding a candle flame in their mind. That's all it was there. And it's really hard to do. I've tried to do it over and over, but now and then I can. And that led me to something else. When I lay down, sometimes I take a nap and I'll close my eyes. First thing I have trouble with is getting rid of light in my mind because I've covered my head up. There's absolutely no light. My eyes aren't seeing anything. And yet, first part of my face up to here, my mind up to this point, has still got the memory of light. It wants light. The mind wants sensory input, be it auditory or visual, but especially vision. Your mind is really dominated by vision input. It wants it. It needs it. You take somebody and put them in a sensory deprivation chamber, the mind will just go crazy. It starts inventing stuff, and that's what I'm sort of working to. Is okay if focusing on a candle flame is not the right way to do it. And what I mean by not right way to do it, my idea was that if you could shut down the sensory, turn off sensory deprivation and quiet your mind down so it doesn't have to do anything. And that's real hard because it really wants to be doing something. And it really does. It doesn't like sensory deprivation. It really, so the first thing is to get rid of that memory of light. And sometimes I can, and then it's amazing. It's through the filmy haze, I can see various sort of things appear, pictures or objects, or I don't know, sometimes they're flashes of stuff, images, or there's even motion, whatever. And I'm not quite sure that what those things are. I don't remember having seen some of these things. Sometimes they're faces, and I've definitely never seen that face before. Okay, and so I can let that go on for a while, and if I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it, it'll eventually fade. what I've been thinking lately about that is that's the event horizon of my mind. That is stuff that has not made it into the black hole of my mind. So here's a concept, a precept that your mind is literally a miniature black hole in space and time. That's what it is. That it's this fabric of space and time in some totally quantum entangled manner uh, that takes in all of this sensory information and balls it up and lets us be conscious, whatever that term is, consciousness. Okay. So here I am. I've quieted my mind down enough. I'm not trying to do the candle flame anymore. I'm just trying to quiet it down so the mind, and it really doesn't like it. It wants to be doing something. It wants to be thinking about something. It wants to be, that's the way it's evolved because of predators and everything. It adapts. It wants to be ready for the environment to be changing so they can respond to that. So if I eliminate the environment entirely, what do I wind up with? That's my goal. The idea was that if I can, now I'm discovering, I think I've gotten the memory of light disconnected. I can, the sensory of touch, I can slowly, calmly no longer feel my legs and arms. They're not providing any sensory input that I'm aware of. And I'm almost there. It's just, it seems like these images come and I don't know where they're coming from. And if I could get attracted to them and I pay attention to them, I think they're stuff in the event horizon of my black hole. And some of it's imaginary coming out of my mind. It's making stuff up. But anyway, it's not been pulled into the gnarly interior of my mind and put into memories and chemically tied onto other fragments of memories to enhance the whole concept of a dog or a cat or some other concept or belief or however stuff, all the whole massive stuff that's stored inside of that chemistry of your brain. So it poses a question. My whole point being is I think if I could quiet down and get inside the black hole of my mind, perhaps that is where there is entanglement with other intelligences. Perhaps our minds are black holes and they are in fact quantumly entangled with other consciousness in some way in the universe, which would ignore the whole space-time light year requirement so that there could be some sort of instant wiggle. I wiggle, they wiggle. Which bodes the question, how do you communicate with aliens who don't even have the same environmental history or environment that you had? And they don't have the same, they've never seen a dog, so they have no concept of dog. That has no meaning to them. They wouldn't have meaning. I'm not sure the aliens would even have the concept of a meaning. Perhaps they don't. And that's a whole issue of how do you talk to an alien being when you don't have any common ground for exchange of anything. So here I am trying to quiet myself down to try to get into the black hole to quantum entanglement, but then I don't have any tool set to know. Even if some other alien intelligence started wiggling me, would I even recognize it, or would I be able to sense it or know it in any way, shape, or form, or be able to stick my quantumly entangled hand out to shake their hand? It poses a whole myriad of questions about other intelligences in universes. Perhaps there aren't other, perhaps the whole universe is intelligent itself. We're just one little quantum entanglement in a universe of quantum entanglements. But we haven't learned, our minds are not yet developed enough. We have not been trained to quiet and listen and accept what the quantum aspect of our minds are. Who knew? I don't know. It's just a meandering. It's something I play with. It doesn't cost anything. I'm just quieting myself down. And it occurred to me, this is the second time I tried to create this video. The first time the audio was bad, so I have to do it again. But one of the concepts in the last one that I thought about was, well, if I'm quieting it so down, my mind's so down, so I'm not even aware of my senses of any kind, isn't that sort of the definition of dead? I'm not trying to become dead, not like in that sense. And certainly my mind has some primitive value. It's going to keep my heart pumping. I don't believe I have the ability to shut my heart down. Sometimes I have tried to mentally slow my heart down, and I think I have been successful in that now and again, which is something you might want to try. I mean, it's your body. You can do what you want with it. I mean, why not? Try to slow your heart down consciously. And I think Buddhists are capable of doing that. Again, I don't think the Buddhists have the right idea about focus. I don't think that's what you want to do. What you want to do is unfocus and be open. And open to what? I'm not sure. Like I said, if I finally manage to get inside the black hole where I have no thoughts, no nothing and nothingness, then will nothing become something that I could actually recognize? But if I gave all my recognition away, then how would I even know? It's a state of being that where I don't know. Maybe that's a concept. When you die, is that similar to the same? You've lost your corporal body. You have no more sensory inputs. Okay, so the mind then is devoid of that. They talk about the soul. Is the soul a quantum entanglement? It's a wave function. It is not a particle per se. It's not mass per se. It's just space-time. Space-time I don't think of as a particle, or it's just a concept. But anyway, this has gone on too long. What I was trying to get was, I think I have discovered the event horizon of my mind, and that in itself is interesting. That had not occurred to me before. And it's fascinating to see this junk that is there or gets imagined or the mind invents so that it won't be quiet, because it doesn't want to be quiet. It throws tantrums when there's nothing happening. It really does, which bodes the question about dreams. And their purpose is just to keep the mind doing something. It's like idling in the background, so it just makes up crap out of random firings. Dreams usually have, it's all formulated around the context of, our current environment. It looks like usually I'm on this planet and doing things around here. I'm dealing with other people and stuff. I have had dreams where I think it was on some other planet, and it seems awful strange to me in every aspect. Sometimes it didn't feel good at all, but sorry, very seldomly. This is enough of that. This has to do with, so you already got it. You already got a brain. So there's a lot of unexplored territory up there. And one aspect of it is if you can quiet it down, shut it down, try to quiet it as much as you can. I'd see what happens. Sensory deprivation will have strange consequences on a regular mind. And perhaps if you can push it farther into real calmness, you might even get a wink or a smile or a thumbs up or something. I have no idea how to describe it because I don't know how it would be and whether I would recognize it or hit me in the face. But anyway, this one is a muse about the event horizon of my mind and how I get there and how I try to practice getting there. And I don't know what I'll find if I can get beyond that. I don't know if I can get very far. Perhaps everything gets stuck. Time slows down to zero just as I'm about to fall into the black hole and I can't move one way or the other. Because relative to me, I'm not moving. Anyway, that's Uncle Ron's stuff. Today is the 9th of December 2025, and nobody will ever watch this, but I'll give it a try anyway. Bye-bye.